Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Vaginismus Podcast, where we are stuck, not stopped. I have officially decided to make Stuck, Not Stopped the slogan and change the name of the podcast to simply Vaginismus Podcast, this being for a number of reasons. The first and biggest one being that nobody's going to be able to find me. Nobody's going to type in Stuck Not Stopped if they think Vaginismus. They're just going to type in Vaginismus. So I figure logistically this sounds better. Second thing, I do greatly apologize if you hear pitter patters. It is raining. Again, I believe I've recorded one other time when it was raining and I couldn't really tell if it was in the audio or not. There is also this weird beeping that I can hear through the ceiling of my neighbor. So if you guys can hear that, also super duper apologize. Another thing, I made a mistake in the previous episode about needing to cut out a swear word of me being, I was scared that I was going to get demonetized. That was the wrong word to use. I don't do this very often. I didn't know what I was saying. I've heard other YouTube channels that I listen to say the same thing when they curse, and I have trouble not cursing. So, I wasn't really sure how to go about that, and I don't really know YouTube's rules. I don't have any kind of partnership, sponsorship with YouTube. I don't work for YouTube. I don't make money from these things is what I'm trying to say. So demonetized was the incorrect word. And on a side note, I don't really care to make money off of doing this kind of thing. I do this because I want to spread information and I want to spread awareness and break stigma and make people feel better. Speaking of others, I was just featured on the lovely podcast La Petite Mort Pod, which is hosted by two wonderful, wonderful ladies. You guys should go check them out on Spotify. Go check out their Instagram page. I will have everything of theirs linked in the description box below. Also in the description box, you can find my socials, Instagram, Facebook, my blog, so be sure to go give those a like and a follow. Be sure to subscribe here and flick on that bell icon. I post on the 17th, usually of every month. And with all of that, let's jump into today's episode, which is all about the Dynias. So this is not directly focused on vaginismus, but it is important to be aware of others and have all this inclusivity. So I'm going to be discussing a few different types of Dynias that I have found on the interwebs and how they are different from vaginismus and how they are different from one another. And after we've gone through all the explanations and definitions discussing each of the Dynias, I will be wrapping back to why I think this is important to include in a podcast about vaginismus. So first thing, dynia is a suffix, and it means a few things that I found. It means abnormal condition or disease, it means pain, it means discomfort, unhappiness. And the prefix depends on what part of the body is being referred to. So dynia is not specific to your little reproductive region down there. It is dependent on, again, what part of the body we're talking about, because it's a suffix. And I got all confident about finding cervicodynia because I was confident that that must mean cervix because most of the letters are the same, but it's not. It means neck, which is totally different. So that was one of the ones that I found, but that's not going to be the one or any of the ones that we're covering today. And I think, this is my understanding of it, that all of these are related to dyspareunia. And if you don't know what that is, you should totally check out the episode I posted before, episode 7, which is dyspareunia and vaginismus. So go ahead and listen to that. That'll actually help you understand the basis of what we're going to be talking about a little bit more. So you can pause here, and that episode is linked down below. The first of the dynias that we're going to be covering is vulvodynia. There is a subcategory of this that gets a little bit confusing to differentiate, but we'll get there. Generalized vulvodynia is the most commonly known one. This is spontaneous and constant pain, small increments of relief. That's at least the definition that I found. If you are an upstanding citizen who endures vulvodynia and you have an experience otherwise, please comment that below. We'd love to know your knowledge and we'd love to know your experience. This pain can happen in one or multiple areas of the vulva. The less commonly known type is called provoked vulvodynia or vestibulodynia. I think I said that right. I practiced, I swear, vestibulodynia. Now, the type of vestibulodynia is a type of vulvodynia. You have your vulva, you have your vestibule. Your vestibule is the entrance, whereas the vulva are the lips, the majora and the minora. So, provoked vestibulodynia, it's pain at the entrance of the vagina, known as the vestibule again. There's primary and secondary. Primary vestibulodynia is pain since the first attempt at penetration. Now, I assume that means whether that is in a sexual encounter or whether that means you're trying to put in a tampon. I'm not entirely sure. The websites that I had found didn't necessarily specify, but I assume that this means at any attempt of insertion. Secondary vestibulodynia is developed pain and sensitivity after pain-free intercourse has occurred. And provoked vestibulodynia actually brings us to the next section, which would be clitoridynia. Clitoridynia is experiencing pain in the, you guessed it, in the clitoris. Obviously, this will affect sexual activity, but more notably can cross over into daily life, known as having a throbbing or sharp pain. But again, if you are an upstanding citizen who experiences clitoridynia and you have any other sensations in your clitoris that might revolve around clitoridynia and relate to this condition, please comment below so we can know your knowledge and we can know your experience. I have a very brief understanding of this. I was actually at work one time and I used to work at a coffee shop, and I bent down to stock something and I had this, it was like a searing pain, and I didn't understand it because I was not wearing any different underwear. I was not on my period, at least not that I remember. It doesn't happen when I'm on my period, or it didn't happen when I was on my period. I wasn't wearing jeans that I wasn't used to. I wasn't bending in any kind of awkward way. It was just all of a sudden I made this movement and I had this pain. And sometimes it happens now too. I am not necessarily diagnosing myself with clitoridynia. I don't know if that's because I'm in denial or if that's because maybe I'm just like, I don't think that it matches, but it does happen. And sometimes it happens after I have my sexual encounters with my boyfriend, and sometimes it's random. And I've tried it where that I'm, okay, let me see if there's any kind of fabrics that irritate this, and it's none of my underwear. I do have more of like spandex material underwear, and I have cotton underwear. Neither one of those do anything. I do wear leggings commando sometimes, but again, those I've tried, doesn't bother it. It's just existing. It's the most bizarre sensation I've ever felt, and it's very uncomfortable. Associations about what might be causing this or what can come along with it. There's a skin condition called lichen sclerosis, or white spot disease. This is consisting of thin white patches in the genital region, typically for pre- and post-menstruating women. Another association could be multiple sclerosis, which is a central nervous system disease. And given that clitoridynia is sensations in that little bundle of nerves there, that does make a lot of sense. And as mentioned before, provoked vestibulodynia is another association with clitoridynia. There are 2 more types of dynias that I found that pertain to the reproductive region, so these are the last 2 that I'm going to go over very, very briefly. It shouldn't really take more than a minute, maybe 30 seconds. Urodynia and urethrodynia. Urodynia is pain during urination, and I genuinely have no idea if this is related to urinary tract infections. I imagine that one of the 2 might be an umbrella term for the other, but I didn't look too heavily into this. The other one, urethrodynia, is pain in your urethra, inside the tube. And again, I can't personally speak to if that is also related to urinary tract infections, or if that could just be classified as, I didn't drink enough water today, so it burns when I pee. I don't know the differences between these 2 personally, because I've never experienced them. And that's all of the dynias that I thought were at least relevant. I'm not kidding you guys. I literally Googled types of dynias when I learned what that suffix meant. And I got a whopping list of anatomical vocabulary, so it was pretty interesting. I'll link that page in the description box below because there's a world of them. And like I said, I thought that the cervicodynia was the cervix, and it's not, it's the neck. So it'd be really cool if you guys ever wanted to check that out and you're bored and you're into bodily functions. Especially since this is all general overview and all of these conditions deserve far more research and far more attention. The common denominator is that pain can be happening at any moment during day-to-day life with anybody, so be nice, even to a Karen, because you never know. You never know when someone is standing in line, waiting for coffee, and their vagina is just deciding to cause them pain. You really, really don't know. I don't ever think anybody has an excuse to be a jerk, but sometimes you just don't know what's going on in someone's life. And wrapping back to how this is related to vaginismus, again, it's related to pain. And I think it's important that we understand that different parts of pain can have different cures, can have different experiences for some people. I know that if I had vulvodynia versus vaginismus, maybe I'd feel differently about things. I can't speak to that because I have one and not the other, but because of how distinct each condition is, it's important to know the differences, because it's also important to know what part of our body is saying what. And with all of that being said and done, all the links are down in the description box below. Be sure to subscribe, give this channel a like, a comment, a heart, whatever. Go follow me on Instagram for little updates about this. Be sure to check out my blog. And please, please, please be sure to go check out La Petite More Pod. All of their episodes are wonderful. M&D are wonderful girls. I hope you all have a fantastic day, month, week, year, what have you may be. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Keep loving yourselves, guys, and I'll talk to you next month. Bye.